Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Professor. In this video, we'll be focusing on Markov chains. So a Markov chain is a belief network with random variables in a sequence where each variable only directly depends on its predecessor in the sequence. A Markov chain is a widely used principle in machine learning and artificial intelligence. And a Markov chain is like a person who easily moves on after a heartbreak. They don't care about the past anymore, they just live in the present. And the probabilities of what will happen moving forward will entirely depend in the present. So for example, I have a girlfriend, let's say her name is Charisse. In the next node, we broke up, so now I have no girlfriend. And in the next node, my girlfriend is again Charisse. In the context of human beings, this isn't quite normal. Because if we try to focus on this node, where I have no girlfriend because I had a recent breakup, the probabilities of my next girlfriend, the probability that my next girlfriend will still be Charisse, will be lessened, because considering that she's my ex, I considered the past in making that decision. But in the context of a Markov chain, it does not look at the past, it only considers what is present. And at present, what it knows is that it has no girlfriend, so it has to search for one, regardless of who it will be. So in a Markov chain perspective, moving forward, all the girls, regardless of my past, have an equal chance of dating me. To further understand a Markov chain, let's take another example. I took this example from a YouTube channel called Normalized Nerd, and it goes like this. There's a restaurant that serves one of each products every day. Say for example, on the first day they serve pizza, tomorrow they serve burgers, and then the following day they serve pizzas again. So simulating a 10-day normal operation of the restaurant, we get burger, pizza, burger, hot dogs, and whatnot. And we get the probabilities for the 10 days. For burgers, we have a probability of 4 over 10. For pizza, we have a probability of 2 over 10. And for hot dogs, we get a probability of 4 over 10. Now, if we continue indefinitely, meaning at a certain point, these probability distributions will stabilize. And we'll have these values. And even if we keep on moving day to day, go to the next day, to the next day, to the next day, we'll observe that the probability distributions will remain the same. They might have a little bit of changes, but very, very minimal, and the values will already stabilize. And this is what we call the stationary distribution. A stationary distribution of a Markov chain is a probability distribution that remains unchanged in the Markov chain as time progresses. So, how do we compute for a stationary distribution? First step is we draw a matrix of the probabilities. So in the y-axis we have burgers, pizza, and hot dogs. On the x-axis we also have burgers, pizzas, and hot dogs. And the numbers here corresponds to the probability. What is the probability that given on a burger day, what is the probability that tomorrow we'll still have a burger day, which is 0.2, which we can see from this diagram. So if we are on a burger day and tomorrow we'll have a burger day, that's a 0.2 probability. So if we have pizza, if we are on a pizza day and then tomorrow we'll have a burger day, we have 0.3. So from pizza to burger, that's a 0.3 probability. And so on and so forth. The zeros here represent that it isn't possible to have a pizza, to have a product on that day, and then the next day you'll have that product. So since it's 0 here, when we have pizza on a certain day, we can't have pizza the following day. Just as this graph applies, because it does not have an edge that goes back to it. Now that we have a matrix, we now go to our next step, where we will get a pi vector that represents the states of each of the products. Now let's say for example we start with a pizza day, and because the pizza here in this graph is on the second element, then we make our vector on the second element as 1. Because the probability of having pizza is 100% because we're getting pizza, and all of the other products get a 0 probability, 0 for burgers and 0 for hot dogs. Now the next step is to multiply our pi vector to the matrix. So given the rules of multiplying matrices, since we're having a 1 by 3 matrix multiplied to a 3 by 3 matrix, the expected output is a 1 by 3 matrix, which is this. So let's try to simulate the multiplication process. So we multiply 0 with 0.2, that's 0. 1 times 0.3 is 0.3, and 0 times 0.5 is 0. And we add all the products and we get 0 plus 0.3 plus 0 is 0.3. Next we multiply 0 with 0.6, that's 0. 1 multiplied to 0 is 0, and 1 multiplied to 0 is 0. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. Lastly, we multiply 0 with 0.2, which is 0. 1 with 0.7, which is 0.7. And 0 multiplied with 0.5 is 0. So 0 plus 0.7 plus 0.5 is 0.7. Next is whatever the answer that we get, we'll feed it back to the formula and then multiply it once again. So if you notice, the answers that we got are 0.30 and 0.7. On the next iteration, we put it as an input right now. And then we continue the multiplication process, and then we get 0.41, 0.18, and 0.41. And then on the next iteration, we put this back again as the input, and then multiply it back to the matrix. When we keep on doing this process, we reach a certain point where once we get the output, put it back in the input, we will be getting the same output. And these are the values where that will happen. And this is what we call the stationary distribution values. So to prove that, let's say that the output is 0.35191 here, 0.21245 here, and 0.43564 here. So let's try to put it as input. So assuming that we're putting this as input here, let's start multiplying. We multiply 0.35191 to 0.2. That's 0.0382 plus multiply this to this. We get 0.06375, and we multiply 0.3564 to 0.5, and we get this. And we add them all together. If you notice, they're almost quite the same. Or maybe we can really say that they're the same, very minimal change. So if we go on and on, we'd also get this number. You can do it at your own homes. You will also get this number. And then you use it again as an input, and then you multiply again, you'll be getting the same amount of numbers. And when we reach this point, we have already found the stationary distribution of our Markov chain. And no matter how many iterations, we will go on indefinitely, we will still be getting the same values. So that's it for Markov chains, and if you have questions, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you.